Everything began in early June of last year. My husband and I had been invited to dinner at our friend's house. It was a calm Saturday evening, the kind where the air feels thick with the scent of summer and laughter floats easily between glasses of wine. Their little house was tucked into a quiet neighborhood, and as soon as we walked in, the smell of roasted vegetables and warm bread wrapped around me like comfort itself. We talked, ate, and shared stories the way old friends do, without needing to impress anyone, just being present. During dinner, between the hum of conversation and the soft jazz playing from the kitchen, I mentioned something that had been lingering in my heart for a while. "I've been thinking about adopting a cat," I said, my voice gentle but certain. My husband smiled knowingly. He's always known about my love for cats. It was one of the first things he learned about me when we met. I'd stop mid-conversation to pet strays on the street or leave out bowls of food near our apartment for the neighborhood cats. I used to tell him that cats understood silence better than people did. "That doesn't surprise me," said our friend, laughing softly. "You were born to have one." We went back to eating, but the idea stayed in the air like a wish whispered to the stars. After dinner, my husband and his friends stepped outside to talk. My friend and I stayed behind, sipping tea in the dim light of the kitchen, our conversation drifting from daily routines to dreams and small confessions. An hour passed before we heard the front door open again. The men walked in, carrying a small cardboard box. "What's that?" I asked, curious. My husband smiled, eyes sparkling in a way that made my heart race. He said, "Open it." When I lifted the lid, my breath caught. Inside, nestled in a soft towel, was the tiniest kitten I had ever seen, barely a week old. Its fur was soft and patchy, its little eyes only half open. It meowed weakly, a fragile sound that went straight to my chest. "Oh my God," I whispered, "she's so small." "She was born at a restaurant in a mountain village," my husband explained. "The owner said one of the cats gave birth to 4 kittens, but no one wanted them. A friend told me about it and, well, I thought maybe..." I didn't even let him finish. Tears filled my eyes. I reached down and gently scooped up the tiny creature. She trembled in my hands, so small that I could feel her heartbeat through her ribs. She was frightened, cold, and alone. That night when we drove home, I held her close to my chest. The car was quiet, except for the sound of her soft cries. My husband stopped at a market where I ran in to buy kitten milk and a small syringe to feed her. When we got home, I made her a little bed in a basket lined with an old blanket. She explored every corner of the room on unsteady paws, her nose twitching as she sniffed everything. I named her Bia. No particular reason, just something that felt right, gentle, and full of warmth. Those first days were exhausting, but magical. I woke up every few hours at night to feed her, holding her tiny body in my hands as she sucked milk from the syringe. She'd curl up on my chest afterwards and fall asleep to the sound of my heartbeat. As weeks passed, Bia grew stronger. Her fur thickened into a beautiful soft coat, and her eyes turned a clear shade of green. She began to play, chasing shadows on the wall, attacking shoelaces, and pouncing on invisible monsters. What surprised me most was how quickly she bonded with us. She followed me everywhere, into the kitchen while I cooked, into the bathroom when I brushed my teeth, curling at my feet whenever I sat down to read. But the real bond formed between her and my husband. Every evening when he came home from work, Bia would sit by the door waiting. The moment she heard his footsteps in the hallway, she'd start meowing, pacing impatiently until he walked in. He'd scoop her up, and she'd nuzzle her head under his chin, purring loudly. It became their ritual, something so pure it filled our home with quiet joy. By the time summer was in full bloom, Bia had become part of our little family. We couldn't imagine the house without her running around, leaving trails of fur on every piece of furniture, or curling beside us when we watched TV. In July of this year, Bia was old enough to be sterilized. I was nervous, pacing the waiting room of the veterinary clinic while she was inside. But everything went perfectly. The vet told me she was strong, healthy, and healing beautifully. I took extra care of her during recovery, feeding her, cleaning her stitches, sleeping beside her so she wouldn't feel alone. When she finally started running around again, I felt a sense of relief so deep that it brought tears to my eyes. Bia had changed our lives. She brought laughter and calm, a sense of purpose I hadn't even known I was missing. A few months after we adopted her, I started noticing strange symptoms. At first, it was just an occasional cough. Then it got worse. My chest felt tight, I struggled to breathe at night, and I was constantly tired. My immune system seemed to collapse. I caught every little cold that went around. I went from doctor to doctor, general practitioners, pulmonologists, even ENT specialists. No one could figure it out. Tests came back normal, medications didn't help. Still, deep down, a quiet fear began to grow. In October, I finally visited an allergist. She listened carefully to my story, then suggested a blood test to check for allergens. I agreed, not really expecting much. A few days later, she called me into her office. Her expression was kind but serious. She said, "You're allergic to cats." For a moment, I just stared at her. The words didn't make sense. Asked. She said, "Yes, your levels are high. It explains the cough, the breathing issues, the fatigue. It's not safe for you to be in close contact with cats." I felt the ground slip beneath me. The drive home that day was a blur. I cried quietly, not from pain, but from heartbreak. When I told my husband, he was silent for a long time. Then he just pulled me close. "We'll figure it out," he said. But how could we? Bia was family. She wasn't something we could just give away. She had slept on my chest when she was small, followed me like a shadow, and taught me a kind of love that didn't need words. My relatives weren't as understanding. "You have to get rid of her," they said. "Your health comes first." But my heart refused to listen. The thought of her waiting by the door for me, wondering why I wasn't there, it broke me. The doctor told me I couldn't touch her anymore. No cuddling, no letting her sleep on the bed, no brushing her fur. I started wearing masks around the house, keeping windows open, cleaning constantly, taking medicine for asthma and antihistamines daily. It wasn't easy. There were nights I cried quietly while Bia meowed at the edge of the bed, wanting to climb up. I'd whisper softly, "I love you, baby," and she'd settle down beside the nightstand, close enough to hear my voice. My husband took over most of her care, feeding her, cleaning her litter, taking her to the vet. Bia adjusted in her own way. She still waited for me at the door every day, tail flicking with excitement when I came home, even if I couldn't scoop her up anymore. And though I couldn't touch her, I found new ways to love her, by talking to her, playing with her from a distance, watching her nap in the sun. Her presence still filled the house with warmth. Over time, I realized that love doesn't always have to mean closeness. Sometimes love means letting go of what we want to protect what we can't lose. I miss the feel of her fur, the sound of her purr against my chest. But I also knew that every breath I took beside her, without gasping, without fear, was a victory. The therapy for asthma helped. Slowly, I began to feel better. I learned to manage it. And even though I still can't hold Bia, knowing she's safe, happy, and part of our home is enough. Sometimes she sits by my desk while I work, her green eyes watching me. I talk to her about my day, and she blinks slowly, that feline gesture of trust. In those moments, it's as if she understands everything, that I didn't abandon her, that I'm still here, that my love hasn't changed. And maybe she knows in her own mysterious way that she saved me too, just in a different way than I expected. Love isn't always about what we can touch or hold. Sometimes it's about what we choose to keep in our hearts, even when it hurts. When I think back to that night in early June, the night everything began, I realized it wasn't just the start of Bia's life with us. It was the start of a lesson I didn't know I needed. Life gives us love in many forms. Some we can embrace freely, and others we have to protect from a distance. But all of it, every bit of it, is real. Bia changed me. She taught me patience, care, and the quiet courage it takes to keep loving something even when it costs you comfort. Every morning when I see her sitting by the window, bathed in light, I feel a quiet peace, because she's home, because I'm here, because we found a way to love each other despite everything. And maybe that's what love truly is. Not perfection, not ease, but the determination to keep the bond alive, no matter what shape it takes. True love doesn't end when circumstances change. It adapts. It's not measured by how close we can be, but by how deeply we care, even when distance becomes part of the story.